So if I'm targeted as somebody who is in the market to buy a car, and I'm listening to Pandora on my phone, and I live in Brooklyn, but I'm visiting friends in the Bronx, how would that work? Would it look at my current GPS location when the ad comes up, or would it refer me back? Or is there no hard, fast rule?
I don't think there's a single way to do it because it depends a bit of the publisher. I would say for Pandora, I don't recall exactly their workflow, but our regular recommendation is we use the GPS location as the first uh, the first way to identify the exact location of a user. Then we can use the IP address when it's not coming from a mobile network because the IP address coming from mobile network is not reliable. And then we also exclude the IP address coming from, let's say, big corporation network because if you work for, I don't know, a huge company, they may be all located in some data center in another state, so we can't rely on that. Then after that, we will rely on the zip code from registration. So if a user has to register, like on Pandora, they need to input the zip code, so we can use that. And then we have other type of more loose rules because it becomes less clear. So the ideal signal is really GPS from the mobile phone up to unclear system. So for the unclear location, we are usually run national campaign because we cannot guarantee. Actually, we never guarantee anything, but we cannot make sure that it's really trustable. We always know that it's trustable on the country basis in the U.S. But if we talk outside of the US, sometimes it's even unclear. For example, we run campaigns in Israel, and Israel cannot even identify a country-based IP address. Sometimes we can hit the country besides Israel. So it really varies by country. But in the US or globally, I would say GPS is the most precise way of geolocating a user. So it's a set of rules. So nothing is always 100% reliable, but we try to make it as reliable as possible using those rules.
What type of metrics do you collect?
I mean, a lot. So if it's for pre-buy, Webcast Metrics, which is our measurement service, will measure time spent listening and concurrent users. So using the server logs or technology inserted on the player, we will know how many listeners are connected to a specific station in real time every minute. But then we also look at the time spent listening. So we will make sure that this, on average, on a specific station, people will be listening for X amount of minutes or hours, and then per listener, how much time they will be spending listening on that station. So that's for pre-buy measurements. So that's Webcast Metrics. When we run the ad, it's actually as detailed as any advertising campaigns on display or video. So we know how many impressions were served. We know if they clicked on the banner. We know if the ad was fully delivered or not to the player. We have the IP address. If the advertiser is using a data management platform like Exadate or Lotame or Bluekai, or a demand-side platform like Turn, MediaMat, we will track and fire the pixels coming from those systems so they can record post-listen exposure and attribution. So let's say you listen to a stream and you're exposed to a specific campaign, and then you later visit the advertiser's website even though you didn't click on the banner. If they have the proper technology in place, we'll be able to tell that to the advertiser in real time by pushing the right information to the system. So there's a lot of data points that are being measured and passed back to the advertiser or the ad servers to make sure they understand that the ad was broadcasted, what happened, did they click, did they visit the websites later on. So we connect the dots and the pipes behind the scene in multiple ways. So there's a lot of information being shared.
Do you target by segments? Is this like a programmatic type of system?
Yes, we actually launched A2X, which is an audio ad exchange 2 years ago. So this is purely programmatic. So it's an auction-based exchange. We actually partnered with AppNexus to run all the auction mechanisms. So any any AppNexus users or DSPs connected to AppNexus will be, I mean, on AppNexus you can already buy. We're currently onboarding more DSPs, DSPs meaning like Turn, MediaMat, DataZoo, DoubleClick bid managers will be able to buy soon. Any data management platform can already be used. So whether you're using Exalate, Lodomi, Blueguy, Mastercard Advisor data, so almost any data source could be used. So on the programmatic front, every time a player is launched, we do a cookie sync and a device ID sync on mobile phone. So with that sync, we can fire segments. So the buyer will know that this is that type of profile, and they will decide if they want to buy it or not. So it's purely programmatic, the same way as display is being traded or video is being traded. So we made audio traded the same way 2 years ago. So you can do targeting by segments coming from third-party data, but you can also target your own data. So first-party data retargeting from the advertiser will work. So if you're an airline company or a credit card company and you want to target the people that visited your website, we can also enable that. So that has been working for the past 2 years. And the growth of that channel is tremendous. Actually, there's a lot of people that feels that it's really great to have audio being traded the same way as display and audio and video, and it brings a lot of value to their buys when they do programmatic buys, adding audio, because it's an efficient way to support branding campaigns or have brand recognition for direct response campaigns.
What about somebody who cleans their cache every week and removes their cookies?
I mean, we abides by the really strict rules on privacy. So if you clear your cache every week, then everything is reset. So we may not recognize you as someone we already saw in our system. So there's multiple ways to target. So with cookies, we abide by all the rules. Device ID, you cannot reset your device ID, but you can opt out of targeting. So in that case, we won't be able to target based on your profile. The IP address or GPS cannot be, I mean, you can block GPS. So if you block GPS and you use a proxy to access the streams, then you'll be put in the bucket of unknown geo and unknown users. So we still have campaigns that are being bought by format. So in that case, there's a lot of buyers that wants to target news stock or by music genre or by country. So a national campaign will still work, but programmatic advertising based on a cookie or a specific cookie won't work, or will work just for a week because you reset your cookies every week. So we don't store any PII, personally identifiable data. And even, I mean, Triton as a service offered to some broadcasters to manage your database of registration user, but there's a Chinese wall between these services and the ad server. So we're strict because we also operate in Europe. So the privacy policies in Canada, for example, and in Europe is at light years of what we have in the US. So because we want to simply manage the whole thing from a centralized perspective, we really try to be as strict as possible there, because I'm also an internet user and I don't want to be targeted forever by the same advertisers. So we really understand that part of the business. So we want to make it useful and worth it for the advertiser, but not invasive by the listener. So we try to find the right balance there, but we never infringe privacy policies. We're really strict on that. We also force all the publishers to have a certain set of privacy guidelines and their privacy policies, because we want to play with the rules, not try to bypass them.